Hey guys, welcome back to the Unpolitical But Political podcast. I hope you guys are doing well. I hope you guys also enjoyed my episode 8 that I posted yesterday based on stoicism, which was like a psychological term that is used for controlling things that are not within our control. I can see that you guys really enjoyed it. But today I wanted to talk about something because I found this really fascinating. I stumbled across a video in March, like 2 or 3 months ago. And it was basically about this woman who was talking about toxicity, manipulation, and removing individuals who don't have values or morals of high integrity out of your life. And when I was watching her videos, like on her feed, she basically mentioned that there's like a scientific fact that women psychologically process 60 to 80 thoughts a day. And in order to eliminate those thoughts and transmit those thoughts and store them so we can start fresh, we have to like debunk it and express them. And she used this term called knead them like dough and look through the pieces. And I found that really fascinating because even though as women we process that high capacity of constant thought, we are still stigmatized as being stuck up, you know. We're stigmatized to being told that we should suck it up, and like, why are you behaving like that? And like, you know, some people will use like women's period to like make it seem like that's why they behave the way they do. And it just got me thinking, because it was just like, if you compare the thought density to men, like realistically, you can really see that men within those demographics have a lower like emotional capacity, because in that scenario, if we're just basing it on men, we know that men have stigma when it comes to their emotions, like, because like we're so quick to shove men's emotional well-being and mental health under a carpet and replace it with this clean aesthetic by like sugarcoating or telling men that they should essentially man up and stop acting like a bitch or put your man socks on. But if we're being honest, we throw the same problems we have as women onto men. We just don't realize it because subconsciously we are so privileged in our mannerisms and as females that we fail to acknowledge men. And another thing is that like another thing that entered my mind was like when I was watching the video on her feed on Instagram, one thing that really pissed me off, and I'll be so honest, was that there's a lot of controversy surrounding like the topic of men and women, which I find is very rooted in like generational trauma and like differences that men like and like the differences of men being a part of patriarchy. If anyone doesn't know what that is, it's basically men in power. They've ingrained that in our system, and they've always like taught women and men, like they've always taught women and men that we should be. Well, they've always taught women that like when they've always taught women since they grew up that they should be this princess and like force this ongoing facade that we are very laid back individuals, that we crave innocence, so we look more womanly, or you know, men were also raised to be emotionally strong and not show society that we are emotionally unstable, and that they should always have a thick lawsuit against women and not fall into a trap of weakness, etc. And I think this whole narrative is very toxic because essentially we slam and shade both gender roles exclusively, only secluding one objective, which is misogyny and patriarchy. Like, if you compare the differences in both men and women, we refuse to talk into what both gender roles experience, like, outside of their role, like, such as toxic masculinity and toxic femininity. We also refuse to acknowledge men's experiences because we dwell too much on how women are perceived in society, and I like, for me personally, I would never sit here and lie for a minute that I'm completely 100% on men's side, because I won't lie for a minute. I was very toxic and like naive and bogus about like men's mental health, and I always had this mindset like that, you know, I just had a very toxic mindset. But now that I really look into it now, like, I honestly stand and vouch for men so much, like, because I find it very fucked up how we're so quick to minimize and downgrade men's mental health when it comes to anything. Like, even on Men's Mental Health Month, I see a little, like, even, I remember I was saying ages ago that I find it really fucked up how a lot of people I see on social media, on like my reels, a lot of women being like, if my man is not strong emotionally or mentally, he's not attractive. Or if he's mentally strong and emotionally strong, that's really attractive. I like a man that's like very strong emotionally and mentally. It just shows how, like, it just shows how well, like, how put together he is as a man. And I'm like, why are we using mental health? Why are we like almost using mental health? Why are we flooring mental health like that and making it seem like if you are mentally messed up in the head or mentally not there, suddenly you're unattractive? And it's just like, I shouldn't have to filter myself and mold myself into somebody else just so that I look like, so I look more attractive. It's like I'm seeking external validation. So let's say the playing field was uneven, and one day I was mentally strong, according to the woman, and then the next day I went through it at work, or I just suddenly had a mental breakdown and decided that I didn't want to feel my feelings anymore. How would that make any sense? So if I mold myself and make it seem like I'm emotionally strong, I'm attractive. And if I don't, and I put on a facade that I'm crying and I'm upset and I'm angry and I'm pissed off and I no longer want to continue with life, and now I'm unattractive. Like, make it make sense. Like, this whole facade of trying to, like, almost diminish mental health and put it as something that's like essentially not normal, because a lot of people are authentic and want to admit that they are suffering, and then a lot of people will kind of find it like that's unattractive, and that, like, if you're not mentally strong, then the relationship will never work. And those are the people who don't work on themselves. Or it's just like, who are you to tell someone how to handle their issues? Do you know what I mean? Like, in my opinion, if anyone doesn't know, I am gay, so I like females. But if I had a girlfriend that would only benefit off of me molding myself and making it seem like I am constantly this happy individual, and like I'm never in debilitating pain, and I'm always, you know, very ongoing and high vibrational, and I was never allowed to express my vulnerable side because she found that quote unquote unattractive. I'm sorry, but I would never want to be with a woman like that. Like, I feel like a lot of women start their own problems by saying this type of stuff, because it's just like, now it's almost showing like toxic femininity, in my opinion. As much as there's toxic masculinity, there's also toxic femininity, and I feel like a lot of women are afraid to express that because they're also what's it called? They also carry to some extent that same trait. But the fact that we diminish men's mental health and like make it seem like men are just the issue to every problem mentally, and they're not allowed to express, and if they do express, then they're a bitch, and they're now like they're acting like a girl, and like, it's just like, women, you're like, for all the women out there, you're also a part of the fucking problem. Like, you're the reason, some of you women are the reason why men don't want to fucking talk, because if they do express, now they're unattractive. Because we've now told men as a society that if you are vulnerable, then you're not attractive. Whereas if you're mentally strong and emotionally strong, like what I was saying earlier, then you're attractive. And it's like, why are we slamming gender roles? Like, it shouldn't matter your gender. You should be able to express and be vulnerable regardless. Like, you shouldn't have to mold yourself and create this facade that you're just this abundantly happy person all day, every day, with no issues going on in your life, and you don't suffer with anything, and like, you've never dealt with like, why do I have to filter myself? Do you know what I mean? Like, it just feels like, I just feel like there's no hope in relationships nowadays, because people come on social media and diminish mental health, and it's real. Like, I feel like people have like transcended the meaning of mental health and made it seem like it's something that no one should ever have, whether man or woman. And it's just like, when I watched that video, I was just really fascinated by it, because I was like, why should I have to do that to myself, you know? I should be able to express and be vulnerable, because I feel like being vulnerable and crying and expressing how you feel and letting the world know that you're not okay goes way more farther and flourishes way better when you learn to accept that that's the state that you're in right now, emotionally and mentally. Like, I shouldn't have to I will never understand it, because it just doesn't make no sense to me. And when I watched that video, I went immediately to my notes and started journaling, because I was like, that is so fucked up how we shade mental health and like push it so far underneath the surface just so we look like we never deal with anything. I just found it really fascinating. And also, I was also mentioning about see if I can find it. I just find it really interesting, like, how this is how mental health gets taken. Like, it should never... I came across this thing called genocentric mental health, where it's basically kind of similar to what I'm talking about, and it basically just emphasizes exactly what I'm saying. Let me see if I can pull it up. So it is basically where we emphasize feminine interests or a feminine point of view and compare them. So androcentric is basically when we compare a woman's interest and point of view to we basically emphasize a feminine interest and a feminine point of view and compare them to men. So we sort of center men and focus the topic on men, because like we don't want to, like, we just like center them as a man issue, because we know subconsciously that that's something that men would deal with or like be going through or something. But I found that term really interesting. I came across it yesterday. So I don't know if it's like to do with mental health, but I know that that's how you would... That's like the synopsis to like mental health, if you're speaking from like a psychological term. So it says, using only female participants in a psychological study and applying results to everyone. So I think they're basically like comparing a female behavior, like a female's thoughts and behavior, and basically saying that's normal to how a man would think. So basically what I'm saying, how we slam like gender roles when it comes to mental health. So like I said before, we as women were so quick to slam men and think that their mental health and them crying and them being vulnerable is abnormal, and then for a woman it's normal because we're centered that way. That's how we were raised. We were raised to be, you know, our parents' princess and like work on our mannerisms and like be very self-centered and like almost act like, you know, we should be a lady and like not show men that like almost like paint this narrative to men that if they behave anything like this, then they're abnormal, and it's not normal. That's basically what genocentrism is. It's just like it's almost like a bias, you know? And yeah, I think that was really interesting, but I just wanted to talk about that because I was just like, why do we make men feel so low when it comes to... The reason why I'm vouching for men, because I understand how they feel so much, like, just constantly molding yourself and making it seem like you're not allowed to cry and you're not allowed to, like, be vulnerable. Like, I generally think the reason why men suffer the way that they do mentally and emotionally. Because there was even a statistic that I saw ages ago, and it was basically about how men's mental health, like when it comes to like suicide, they're much more higher on the statistic. And I was just like, it's crazy to me, like how we, like I feel like a lot of women are the reason why men deal with their problems. Let me see if I can find it. Sorry guys, I took notes, so I'm trying to like look through them so I know that I'm talking about the right thing. Let me see. Okay, I can't find it, but I basically came across like the men's mental health statistics, and it was basically just sort of breaking down the statistics between men and women when it comes to mental health, and it was basically saying that obviously men have a higher percentage of suicide, so it doesn't look big, but it is quite big. So it says 1 in 8 men report experiencing symptoms of mental health problems compared to 1 in 5 women. 35.2% of men think they have a diagnosable mental health condition at some point in their life. A fifth of men, 19.5%, have been diagnosed with mental health condition, confirmed by professionals. And if you compare that to a woman, we're so quick to make men feel like we almost create like this, like almost like we create this surface for men, and we say, like, we almost create like a box for men. Like when it comes to mental health, we put men in boxes and tell them when they arrive in that box that you're not allowed to cry, you're not allowed to be vulnerable, you're not allowed to show no weaknesses, you're a man, you need to be tough, you need to like show people that you're untouchable, you need to make sure you protect your woman, and you can't show the world that you cry, because if you cry, now you're not attractive, and now you're just vulnerable, and now you're a bitch, and you're it's just like, why do we do this to men? Like, why do we minimize how men should handle their emotions? Like, it even says here 40% of men polled said it would take thoughts of suicide or self-harm to compel them to seek professional help. 77% have suffered with symptoms of negative mental health. 40% have never spoken to no one about their mental health. It says 29% are too embarrassed to speak about it. 20% say there is a negative stigma on the issue, and it basically just breaks down like the biggest cause of mental health issues in men's life. So it says 32% are work pressure, 31% are financial issues, and 23% are their health. But do you see the difference in what I mean? Like how we mold men's mental health. For all the men out there, I'm so sorry that you have to deal with this. Like, this is so fucked up, and I don't ever want you to feel like you're less manly for speaking up, or I don't want you to feel like you're alone or feel like you can't express. Like, for me, I've always been like a man's man, if that makes sense. Like, as much as I'm a girl's girl, I've always been a man's man. Like, every time my male friends come to me, like, I always advise them, and like I make them feel like they shouldn't have to feel that way because they're boys or because they're men. I just want you guys to know that I see you, I fucking hear you, and I know exactly how it fucking feels to feel like you don't have the support system in place for you. And I just wanted to say, like, happy Men's Mental Health Month. Like, I'm so sorry that you have to fucking deal with this shit, and it's okay for you guys to cry, it's okay for you guys to feel like, you're not on top of the world at times, and like, honestly, men, I fucking hear you. What else? So we mentioned that the prominent issues to men's mental health was work-related pressures, financial pressures, and health concerns. So so it says here, in many cases, men and women don't differ in the symptoms they experience when struggling with their mental health. If you are concerned that you or someone else might be suffering from mental health issues, consider these common signs and symptoms. So it basically just gives you like the symptoms that might, but what annoys me about the media is that they'll overly exaggerate like the symptoms for men and then make the symptoms for women less exaggerative. Like, for example, here, so they said, consider these common signs and symptoms. So for men, they've put persistent sense or worry, overwhelming feelings of sadness, withdrawal from friends and family, difficulty concentrating, feeling tired or fatigued, and physical symptoms like shortness of breath or headaches. And then here they said, while many of the symptoms are universal, which means like no matter the case, you always have them. Like, they're just inevitable is what it means. Some signs are more common in men than they are in women. You see what I mean? And it says examples include substance abuse, anger and irritability, working obsessively, sleep problems, and reckless behaviour. This is exactly why I'm saying that we've now overly genderfied, if that's even a word, mental health. Like, we've made men look like... We've almost made it seem like... I don't know how to explain this any further, but it's almost like we've filtered men's mental health we've filtered men's mental health that much that we even forget like that what we feel as women can also exist in a man. Like, for me personally, as someone who has suffered with mental health, I don't think that my mental health and how I feel emotionally is I don't think it's as worse as a man's, you know? Like, I feel like like, I don't feel like my one is worse than a man, you know? I feel like we're both on the same page when it comes to mental health. I don't think we should filter a woman's experience and then push it to men, and then, you know, filter a man's experience and then push it to women, you know? I feel like we should be on the same playing field. We shouldn't have to like compare mental health issues, you know, and minimize one thing that really annoys me as well, this stigma that if you're mentally going through it, or, you know, you're not okay, there's this thing where it's like people are out there suffering more, like, worse. Some people out there have it worse. Some people are going through X, Y, and Z, and you're complaining. And if you complain, now you're ungrateful. And if you try to get your point across, now you're arguing and you're answering back. And if you cry, now you're playing innocent and you want to, you know, get their attention. And it's just like, so now, like, how far should I go with this? Like, should I just pretend like I'm not upset and I'm not bothered, and I don't cry and I don't play innocent, and should I just mold myself and make it seem like none of these things are quote unquote universal and they don't actually happen to me because I'm a human being and I feel things the same way men do? I honestly think men have been brainwashed by society to believe that your feelings are no longer valid. We've also been trained as women that we are the way we are emotionally because we have hormones, and like our body operates differently to a man's, and men have higher testosterone. So if they want to get rid of these emotional problems and mental health issues, then maybe it's best they go to the gym or find a job that is like predominantly a man's job. And it's just like, fuck all of that. Like, men need to be heard regardless. Like, it really annoys me when I hear these type of things. Like, honestly, the world needs to do better and stop making it seem like men no longer feel what they feel, and stop putting stop being tone deaf when it comes to men. A lot of women specifically, sorry guys, I have really bad allergies, so excuse that, but I go on like Instagram, for example, and social media is also like another reason why I'm speaking about this, because a lot of women specifically will come online, and I see this all over my reels. They'll come online and downgrade men so much, and like sit and like just throw so much shade on men and make men look so bad. Like, I understand there's some men out there who are not the best people. There's a lot of men out there who have been involved in sexual assault, rape. Trigger warning, anyone who have been involved in sexual assault, rape, you know, sexual abuse, being abducted and stuff like that. They've been involved in those things when it comes to women. But to come online, there's this trend going around as well called men versus bear, or bear versus men. And it's this fucked up trend that I think someone just made up and thought it would be funny to come online and just like almost like I don't even know the word for it, like almost condone it essentially, where they will go around asking people very provoking questions and ask them if they would rather be in a forest with a man or a bear. And a bunch of these females will be like, I would rather be in a forest with a bear because I know I'm safer that way. I couldn't imagine what it would be like if I was in the woods with men. And it's just like, now we're trying to like really frame, like it's almost like defamation of character, you know, trying to shame men and make men feel like if they are in the woods with if they are in the woods with a female, like hypothetically, then the worst things could ever go. There's a lot of men that I met in this fucking industry, whether that be like in general or just like throughout my day-to-day life, that are not like that at all. There's a lot of men out there who advocate and preach for women so highly and think so highly of women, and then when it comes to women, we almost slap these men in the face and be like, we almost make men feel like they are just like gum on the back of someone's fucking shoe. Like, the same energy we want as women, I'm speaking to the ladies out there, the same energy we want as women and the same advocacy we want as women to fight for our rights, and because we never voted, and to fight for all the women who have been sexually assaulted, and trigger warning guys, sexually assaulted and raped and all of this. We need more women to speak up. This is now out of control. The same energy we put into women and the same advocacy and activism and, you know, the whole practice what you preach era that we put with women, we should do the exact same thing for men. Preach for men too. Do the same thing you do for women for men too. There's a lot of men out there, believe it or not, who have also dealt with the same shit. But the fact that some of you women come online and diminish men and make men look so fucking bad is beyond me. Like, I remember I came across this woman on Instagram, and she was also talking about how some of you women are very evil, and it's not all of you, but it's a lot of you. I'll be so honest. Like, even in the gym, for example, this is also something that ties into it. All these women coming online, women in the gym. I go to the gym, so I'll be really pissed off if the gym community was ruined because of some of you women. You will pretend like you will act, or you will make up this thing where you will think that a man is watching you or recording you. And a lot of these men, I've gone to the gym. I go to the gym in my university. It's like a public gym, and a lot of people from outside of the public come into that gym. A lot of them are predominantly men, I'll be honest. And I surround myself with a lot of men, and a lot of them mind their fucking business. A lot of them don't record. A lot of them don't stare at me. In the gym, no one cares. But for some of you women, I feel like you just make up these things just so you gain sympathy and you look innocent and you look like, and you further perpetuate this ongoing issue with men and the stigma. You further perpetuate the stigma. I feel like a lot of you women you're not really going through these things for real. A lot of you are just painting this narrative so that you look innocent and men look bad. I'll be so straight up. That's exactly what it looks like. Because a lot of you women, you're so quick to say men are like this and men are like that. I saw excuse me, I saw this woman on Instagram, and she was literally recording herself in the gym for an OnlyFans. And she was literally in the gym arching her fucking back. And nobody said anything. But when it's a man who comes in the gym with the shortest shorts that you could ever fucking think of, and a tank top, now it's a problem. Now he's trying to like sexually assault a woman or rape her. It's just like, shut the fuck up. Like, some of you women have created these problems for yourself. You know, a lot of you women dress like provocatively in the gym, and you don't even realize it because you're so egotistic, and you want to look like the woman that you are and say that you're just dressing up for yourself, when realistically we know exactly what you're doing. And when you get that attention, now it's, this man is staring at me, and now this man is doing this, and this man is doing that. But you cause that problem for yourself. But when a man does it, now all the attention is on him. Now we need to report him to the police. Now we need to report this. This is so fucked up. Now we all know how men are. Men are scary. Like, you guys act like men are like, I don't know what you guys think men are, but men are human beings, and not all of them are like that. Like I said to you, a lot of you women just want to find a problem to everything. Like, you want to nitpick at men so badly and make men look so bad so it fits your narrative as a woman, because, you know, you're this egotistic woman who just wants things to be for herself. You want to nitpick at men so badly to make your side look good, that regardless of, even if men are not even recording you or looking at you, you will find a reason for them to look. A lot of you women find a reason for not only me as a gay woman to look, but for men as well to also look. You guys cause the attention for yourself. If you guys were more classy and covered yourself a bit more and wore appropriate things to the gym, you wouldn't be receiving this backlash. I'll be so honest. And I'm not going to sit here and pretend like women are not the issue, because a lot of you women have contributed to this, and this is why men feel how they fucking feel, because a lot of you women are the prime issue to this. How can you sit in a gym and blame men? When I tell you, I have been to the gym consistently from when I started, and I've never experienced, maybe because I'm a bit more masculine, I've never had to experience this, and I don't experience it anyway. I go to the gym with predominantly men. I surround myself with men all the time. Whenever I go to the gym, I always put myself around men. I promise you, if you guys were a bit more logical in the head, you would see that men are not like that. Men are not like that at all. They don't even record. They mind. A lot of the men, they have their headphones in, they do their little reps or whatever, and they leave. But I feel like a lot of you women are finding a reason for everything. Every time you go to the gym, I have to you immediately pull out your phones and start recording, and you put as a caption on Instagram, if anything happens, now you guys have proof. The only proof that we can fucking see is you. You're the proof. You're the reason why men are the way they are right now. You're the reason why men feel like they can't even go to the gym, because they're scared that if I go to the gym, now a woman's going to record me. Now a woman's going to report me. Now, like, a lot of you women are the prime issue. The prime issue. And you'll probably get upset because, you know, you want to make men look so bad. But a lot of you women are the issue. And no, I'm not picking sides. No, I'm not choosing who I want to support. This is the truth. So a lot of you women cause these things for yourself, you know. I'm not trying to like downgrade a woman's experience. Like, I do understand that some women have suffered with these type of things for such a long time, and I'm sorry about that, and I'm sorry that you have to deal with that. It's no longer tolerated or accepted, and I don't condone that, and I stand with you. But a lot of you women have started this upon yourself. A lot of you women have contributed to men's mental health, and the reason why men are so scared to sometimes even go to the gym. Because men love the gym, I'll be honest. A lot of the men go to the gym. But if you're going to ruin it for the men and make them look bad so that they can't go to the gym at all, I'm sorry, but you're also a part of the issue. You're also a part of the issue. The same way you the same way you want this advocacy for women and this activism, like I mentioned, for women and everything like this for women, do the same for men. Play your part too. Stand up as a woman too. How are you going to tell a man to stand up as a man and be honest about their experiences, but you can go to a gym, record yourself working out, dressed up, almost essentially naked, and then think that's going to be okay and no one's going to say anything? a lot of you women, you need to do better, man. Stop making men look fucking bad, because a lot of you guys are also the issue. But back to what I was saying about mental health, I just wanted to spread that awareness because I thought that I would debunk that and let men specifically know that a lot of you guys are not like that. And I've been around male friendships my whole life, and a lot of men that I've been around are no longer like that. So women, you need to do better. So it says here that in England in 2014, 1 in 6 adults had a common mental health problem. About 1 in 5 women and 1 in 8 men. From 2000 to 2014, rates of common mental health problems in England steadily increased in women and remain largely remain largely stable. That's like a key word right there, in men. In 2018, there were 6,507 suicides registered in the UK. And in 2019, there were 5,691 suicides registered in England and Wales. One of these 3/4 were among men, you see, which has been a case since the mid-1990s. So imagine how long men have had to suffer like this. For so long. If I had to do the maths now, I couldn't even imagine how long it's been that men have had to mold themselves and shape themselves into someone they're not. 3 times as many men as women die by suicide. Men aged 40 to 49 have the highest suicide rates in the UK. They've had the highest. So as much as we want to downgrade men and not preach for men, and we don't want to do the same advocacy we do for women, I think it's about time you get up. Men report lower levels of life satisfaction than women, according to the government's National Wellbeing Survey. Men are less likely to access psychological therapies than women. Only 30% of the referrals to NHS talking therapies are for men. Disgusting. Nearly 3/4 of adults who go missing are men. 87% of rough sleepers are men. Men are nearly 3 times as likely as women to become dependent on alcohol and 3 times as likely to report frequent drug use. Men are more likely to be victims of violent crime, 1.5 more so 1/2 more likely than women. Men make up the vast majority of prison population. There are high rates of mental health problems and increased rates of self-harm in prisons. Women between the age of 16 to 24, so almost around my age group, are almost 3 times likely, 26%, to experience a common mental health issue as males have the same, 9%. Women are twice as likely to be diagnosed with anxiety as men. 25.7% of women and 9.7% of men aged 16 to 24 report having self-harm at some point in their life. So you see the difference. So you see what I mean when I say that the statistics differ between men and women. How men have it higher than women. You see what I mean? It's so messed up. Like, we almost put like a filter on men for so long that we're so afraid to even admit that men do realistically struggle, and it's true. Men do suffer. Men struggle. I'm not going to sit here and say, my problems are worse than men, because it's not. Men have it a lot more harder, but because we're so quick to minimize and make it seem like they don't, it's just like, it's disgusting. Sorry guys, I have really bad allergies. Let's see. Another thing I wanted to talk about quickly before I go is, if I can find it, of course. For anyone out there, if you haven't already, please listen to my recent podcast that I listened to, that I posted, sorry, called Stocium, which is a psychological term for anyone who tries to control things that are not within their control, and it basically just speaks about like the philosophies. If any of you guys don't know, there's a guy on YouTube called The Wisdom Hub, and he basically defines Stocium, and like it shows like psychological evidence of what Stocium really means in certain situations. So I think you should go and check it out. And also, please go and check out a woman called Teal Swan. She's a coach for like emotions and like well-being. And yesterday I was listening to her, and she was basically on the podcast talking about she was talking about the ultimate guide to happiness, forgiveness, and purpose. And I think that you should go and check it out. It was really useful. Please go and listen to the rest of my other podcasts. I have Emotional Intelligence episode 4, I have Bullying episode 1, Insecurities episode 7, Vulnerability episode 6, and the one I posted yesterday, which is Stocium episode 8. Please go and listen to those. But I hope you guys have learned something from this. Also here it says, according to our 2017 report on the mental health of women and girls, today women are 3 times more likely than men to experience common mental health problems. In 1993, they were twice as likely. Rates of self-harm among young women have tripled since 1993. Women are more than 3 times likely to experience eating disorders than men. Young women are 3 times more likely than young men to experience post-traumatic stress disorder. Young women are more likely to experience anxiety-related conditions than any other group. It's just like, it's like every year the statistics get worse. Even through COVID, they were saying that social media played a big role in some of the mental health acts that we've seen. Like a lot of women were like dealing with dysmorphia and like dealing with self-esteem and body image and self-acceptance and eating disorders and struggling to find their self and know their worth. And while men were also dealing with like masculinity issues and like toxic masculinity and like stuff like this, and like feeling like low and less manly, and like the statistic was just really high during COVID. So if we compare that to now, when we're in the cost of living crisis and at a economic state, I feel like it's just gotten higher, But yeah, thanks for listening, guys. I hope you took something away from that, especially the women out there. Thank you for listening. Please go and tune in to the rest of my podcasts. On the Unpolitical But Political podcast. Please go and stream them on Apple, Spotify, Amazon, and please go and check them all out. If you're new to this, hi, welcome. My name is Destiny. This is my podcast called the Unpolitical But Political podcast. Please go and stream my podcasts on Spotify, Amazon, and Apple. I'll be posting this one relatively very soon. And yeah, stay tuned for more, guys. Thank you for listening.